Hello everyone, my name is Petteri Kivimäki. I'm the CTO of NIS. I hope you've all had a very pleasant and interesting day today with us. And I also hope that you still have some energy left because we have some interesting stuff still to come. Next, I'm going to tell you about the X-Road 8 Spaceship. But before diving into the details, let's have a few words about data spaces. During the last couple of decades or even more, there have been several technologies, solutions, regulations that have affected data exchange. And they are not going to disappear anywhere with data spaces or or with any other new technology that is yet to come. Instead, they are all related to data spaces in one way or another. You could say that they are maybe data spaces are going to provide a new way to combine them and use them together. When it comes to data spaces are not about technology. They are more widely about interoperability. The European Interoperability Framework defines 4 layers of interoperability: legal, organizational, semantic, and technical. And data spaces are about all of them. But what is a data space? Here you can see multiple descriptions created by different data space initiatives. Well, they have some differences, but they also have many things in common. They are all about ecosystem, interoperability, and common or shared rules. So, to summarize, a data space concept is first of all, supporting multiple use cases. It's not for any specific use case only. It's based on a distributed structure. It's governed by a governance framework. It's enabling trusted data transactions, and it also enables data sovereignty. At the same time, the data space concept is not a data lake, a data warehouse, a new data exchange protocol, only a data platform, or only a technical solution to exchange data. When starting to work on data spaces, and especially when starting to build a new data space, there are already plenty of building blocks available, and not only technical ones. The building blocks can be divided into 2 different categories: business and organization building blocks, and technical building blocks. But when looking at the data space concept from a more technical perspective, we can see that it actually has quite many similarities with X-Road. So both the data space concept and X-Road, they are based on a so-called 4-corner model, which idea is that the information systems are not connected directly, but instead they are communicating using standardized access points. In the X-Road architecture, the access point component is called the security server, as we all know. And in the data spaces model, it's called the participant agent or the data space connector. Currently, there are still multiple names because things are still developing. And besides the participant agent, there are also another enabling services that are required to run the ecosystem, just like there are in X-Road. But the key thing is that all the different components are interoperable with each other. And interoperability is based on standards. And there are different kinds of standards. There are European and international standards, and at the same time there are ICT technical specifications and open source specifications. Some of them are common, while others are data space specific. Also, some of them are already existing, more mature standards and specifications, while others are new, and the work of defining them is currently in progress. Basically, the same rules apply to X-Road as well when it comes to interoperability. meaning that the interoperability within one X-Road ecosystem and between two X-Road ecosystems is based on common specifications. The difference compared to data spaces is that X-Road specifications, well, they are X-Road specific. Of course, international standards are used in the implementation of X-Road, but no X-Road specific parts have been standardized, which means that X-Road today is based on its own custom protocol stack, which allows interoperability between one X-Road ecosystem and between two X-Road ecosystems. But then how about other data exchange solutions and data exchange ecosystems? Today, it's really common that organizations, they need to be members of multiple different ecosystems. It's not enough to be a member of one or two ecosystems. There might be even more of them. And it becomes quite challenging when all those ecosystems, they are based on different technologies. It means that the organizations, they must deploy multiple pieces of technical infrastructure that also needs to be well operated, maintained, and so on, which means that there is a lot of technical overhead being member of those multiple ecosystems. Ideally, there could be one technical solution that can be used to join all those different ecosystems, which would reduce the number of infrastructure that is required. And we see that in the future, X-Road will be that piece of infrastructure. By replacing X-Road's custom protocol stack with the standard data space protocol stack, we will make X-Road interoperable with other data exchange ecosystems and with other data spaces. In practice, it means that in the future, of course, X-Road will be interoperable within one X-Road ecosystem, between two X-Road ecosystems, but also between an X-Road ecosystem and another data exchange ecosystem or data space that is utilizing the same specifications, which means that X-Road member organizations don't need to deploy multiple pieces of infrastructure to join different data exchange ecosystems. And this approach, it also has other benefits. Today, NIS is mostly alone responsible for maintaining and developing X-Road. But in the future, since we are talking about international standards and specifications, there are available multiple open source components that are implementing them that already have existing international contributor and user communities. We can use those components in the implementation of X-Road, which means that the responsibilities regarding the maintenance, they are also distributed to a wider community. And it means that NIS can concentrate more on implementing new business level features for X-Road users, so for you. The data space protocol stack, it can be divided into three different layers, which are the trust plane, control plane, and the data plane. The trust plane is about identity management and trust, so basically how the ecosystem members can trust each other. Then the control plane, it's about service discovery and contract negotiation. So basically how to find services and how to negotiate about the rules and usage policies. And eventually the data plane is about data exchange, so actually exchanging the data over the wire. And the idea is that the two top layers, trust plane and control plane, they are standardized, and it means that they guarantee interoperability between different data spaces. Instead, the data plane is data space and use case specific, which means that it is possible to utilize existing data exchange protocols. Like I said in the beginning, the data space concept is is not a new data exchange protocol. Instead, it provides ways to utilize existing data exchange protocol in a way that the organizations can trust each other, and the rules and policies can be defined in an interoperable manner. X-Road 8 Spaceship will be the next major version of X-Road. The aim of X-Road 8 Spaceship is to transform X-Road into a data space technology. So in practice, X-Road's custom protocol stack will be replaced with the dataspace protocol stack, and X-Road 8 will also be interoperable with the Gaia-X trust framework. It means that X-Road member organizations can use their X-Road security servers to become Gaia-X members. It doesn't mean that every X-Road member organization is forced to become a Gaia-X member. It's totally up to the member organizations to decide. X-Road provides technical means to do so for those who wish to do it. But besides data space related changes, X-Road 8 will provide a bunch of other changes too. For example, X-Road 8 will provide improved cloud compatibility, and it makes using X-Road in the cloud easier. For example, X-Road 8 will provide a better support to utilize managed cloud services, like, for example, storage services, configuration providers, and so on. And related to this, the X-Road architecture will also be made more modular. So currently, I would call X-Road a modular monolith, or the security server. It applies to it as well, meaning that the security server consists of multiple modules, but however, you need to deploy them all together. In X-Road 8, this will change. The security server will be split up into multiple pieces that can be deployed separately. So, for example, Signer, the proxy, the security server UI, it will be possible to run them in a separate container, and they can be also scaled out separately. While today, when you deploy security server in a Docker container, you only have one big Docker container that runs all the different modules inside of it. Then we have one totally new feature called the light context, which means the possibility to consume X-Road services without a security server on the consumer side. Service providers, of course, will be able to decide which services can be accessed using the light context and which services require a consumer security server. So the service providers have full control of it. And I also want to underline that these are only some of the changes that X-Road 8 will provide and that will be implemented in X-Road 8. There are plenty of more of them, but today I'm not going to go into details regarding other changes. More about them later. But in any case, the changes that X-Road 8 will implement, they are huge. And one big challenge in the implementation is backwards compatibility. And we are very ambitious, and we also want to make migrating to X-Road 8 as easy as possible for you. And therefore, we aim to make X-Road 8 fully backwards compatible. And in this case, backwards compatibility means that it will be possible to migrate from X-Road 7 to X-Road 8 without implementing any changes to the connected information systems. So the interfaces will remain fully backwards compatible. However, it's quite likely that some new features that will be introduced in X-Road 8, they might require changes to the backend systems as well, but then it's about new features, and the changes, they only apply to the information systems that want to utilize them. But the migration itself from X-Road 7 to X-Road 8, it will be backwards compatible. And these are not only words, because before saying something like this publicly, we wanted to make sure that it is actually doable. And therefore, during the first half of this year, we implemented X-Road 8 proof of concept, which aim was to validate that the approach that I have just explained, it's actually technically feasible and doable. The outcome of the proof of concept was, yes, this approach is feasible, and X-Road 8 can be implemented as a data space technology in a backwards compatible manner. Of course, during the proof of concept, we were not able to find answers to each and every question that we discovered, but we were able to, in any case, validate the approach and find answers to the most important questions. And if you are interested in the tasks that we are currently working on regarding X-Road 8, in the X-Road Jira, you can see all the backlog items that we have open there. And since the proof of concept, we have continued to work on the X-Road 8 implementation non-stop. And next year, we are going to publish the first beta version of X-Road 8, and the first production version is scheduled for 2026, so 2 years from now. Some of you might think that, okay, 2 years, it's quite a long time, but actually considering the complexity of the changes and the amount of the changes, at least personally, I feel that it's quite a short time, but maybe it's because I'm working so closely with the implementation. And the implementation of X-Road 8, it's being done using agile software development methods. And it's very important to remember that all the changes, all the cool new stuff that we are talking about, it won't be included in the first X-Road 8 production release, but it's rather going to go so that the new things are going to be introduced over multiple X-Road 8 versions over the years. Of course, already the initial X-Road 8 version, it will be fully functional. It will enable migration from X-Road 7 to X-Road 8. It will provide the same features that X-Road 7 does, but especially some of the new things that have been planned for X-Road 8, not all of them will be included in the first release. And overall, to conclude, data spaces, they will play a very important role in data exchange and to achieve interoperability in data sharing when it comes to on a national level or across the borders or across different business domains. At the same time, data spaces are not the only game in town. There will be other ways to exchange data, other approaches to data exchange. There always have been, there always will be. One approach will not replace all the others. Then X-Road 8 will be interoperable with other data exchange ecosystems and data spaces following the same specifications. So even if the specifications, they are international and international standards, of course it doesn't mean that each and every data space and data exchange ecosystem will follow them. Many will, but not all. And X-Road will be interoperable with the ones that follow them. Then X-Road 8 will be backwards compatible with X-Road 7. And it's important to remember that migrating from X-Road 7 to X-Road 8 does not require to the connected information systems. And X-Road 8 will be released in 2 years' time. That's not a long time if you ask for me. And in the meanwhile, we will continue to work with the implementation, and we hope that you will contribute to the development by providing feedback, insights and comments so that we can build X-Road 8 a great product together. Thank you.
Thank you, Petteri, for your presentation. This was the last presentation of today. We have a lot of questions for you, but I'm afraid we won't be able to address them all. Let me pick the most voted one, that is also the first one. What is your recommendation for an organization that is currently using X-Road 7? Can we somehow prepare for the change to X-Road 8 in advance?
Yes. Well, yes and no. So right now, I think that the best thing to do is to follow the development of X-Road 8, what's happening, what are the latest updates. But right now, it's early to do anything concrete yet. But like I mentioned in my presentation, next year we are going to release the first beta version, and then it's a great time to participate in a more concrete way and try out the beta version and provide feedback to us, because based on that feedback we develop the version further, and of course the more feedback we get, the better it will meet the expectations and requirements of the users.
Thank you, Petteri. And one question is exactly in relation to that, how to provide feedback on the X-Road 8 development.
So I would say that the best way is to use the channels that Raido mentioned in his presentation. So we have the X-Road GitHub repository, and there we have the GitHub issues. So just if you have ideas, feedback, comments, anything, you can open an issue there. And then, of course, the X-Road community Slack is a great platform to start a discussion. Maybe if you want to have a more interactive communication, then Slack is the right place to do it. But those are the two platforms that I would recommend.
Thank you, Petteri. There are a couple of more questions that I think we can keep for the upcoming panel discussion.